Alright, Schlockmeisters fans, we're going to watch a newer film here. Pretty new, actually. The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Let's check it out.
God.
The movie starts out with a boat that is washed up on shore. In 1897.
We tried to stop him. If we didn't succeed, God have mercy on your souls.
The Demeter is going from Transylvania to London. 4 interesting crates, or a bunch of crates.
It is a bad omen. You could have killed the boy. I don't give
He doesn't like the dragon symbols on those crates.
Gold. The devil's serpent. This is to be my final voyage, Mr. VOYAGE. I'm going to buy a little cottage in Ireland, so we will enjoy the countryside. And
That's Clemens. He's a doctor. He's on board as well. As are a bunch of animals.
What's going into them?
A stowaway. At least I think it's a stowaway. It's a girl packed in dirt. Not a good sign.
do you need?
Her body's infected. I need to attempt a transfusion.
What are you battling?
Blood transfusion. She needs blood.
This should be to our starboard.
There's an unwanted visitor. Now all the animals are dead. The dogs, the goats, the pigs, everything on board. They surmise rabies?
No. Rabies, it can't pass to a human without it being bit.
No man did this. Evil is on board. Powerful evil.
Apparently all the rats are gone too.
Boat without rats. Such a thing is against nature.
We get our first glimpse of Dracula, full like vampire bat mode. And it's feeding time.
Arteries were ripped open and then
He is here. He is here.
That's our stowaway.
We have to get off this boat.
We call him Dracula.
And you believe that he brought you on board?
He is here, Mr. Clemens. The thing that wears the skin of a man.
Next victim. So Dracula killed one of them. The other guy is strung up.
I don't like this. Sun's going down, and he'll be coming.
They now know what they're up against. That one guy who was strung up is still alive, but he ain't quite right. I think it's the captain's grandson, Toby, who locks himself in, for what it's worth. And he noticed something rise in the corner, and now it's gone. But he's not really gone. There goes Toby. The guy was strung up, they brought him outside, tied him up, and as soon as the sun came out, up in flames he went.
This thing has killed most of the crew.
Then imagine what it will do if we let it get to London.
So now they're looking for him. You'd think it wouldn't be that difficult, but apparently it is.
Dad, it's not...
We have found where the devil sleeps.
This guy decided he's out of there. Our vampire can fly these small distances. He thought his grandson might still be alive, and I guess he kind of was, but exposed to the light. They kind of get a plan. They're going to try to sink the ship with Dracula in it.
I know.
Bring Toby back. If you took him away, he can bring him back.
Come to your senses. You know that's not possible.
Toby.
They convince the captain that can't happen.
When she finally goes, the monster will never be able to reach the home I knew.
So they try to put their plan into action. Of course, Dracula has his plan too. This guy manages to put an axe into the side of the ship to get the water starting to come in, but as far as he's gonna get. Captain's next. The fight continues. Clemens and the lady stowaway jump off. Actually, not only was Dracula not dead, but we have land ho. Anna realizes that she's too far turned and she lets herself go.
Nature hunts for blood somewhere in the city. But I know where it lays to rest during the day.
While in a bar, Clemens notices Dracula. Just like that, he's gone. All right, let's talk about this movie, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I think this came out in 2023. I was at one point thinking about seeing this movie in the theater, just never got around to it. Saw it sitting at Walmart for a long time, just never got around to getting it. Finally picked it up on eBay about a week ago. So here we go, Last Voyage of the Demeter. Now what this is a movie adaptation of one of the chapters in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the original novel, the story of how Dracula came from Transylvania to London when he was moving from place to place. And that's what this whole movie is, an hour and 58 minutes of the boat and the boat tour. So there you go. It's as simple as that. Dracula's coffin is loaded on board. He's got a few people, a crew is there, and once they set sail for London, within a day or two, there's a bunch of animals on board, like goats and that sort of thing. Animals show up dead one day. They're just all dead, and nobody can figure out why. There's a doctor on board named Mr. Clemens who surmises that perhaps it's rabies. He's not sure. And then the next night, somebody disappears, somebody dies, and obviously we know it's Dracula. It's Dracula, and he's a nasty-looking vampire in this movie. We don't really see his, somewhat human form until the very end of the movie. And he's just picking them off one by one. Now, there's another woman on board who also was brought on board in this big crate. She's from Transylvania, and she knows about Dracula because she's one of Dracula's victims that he feeds on regularly. So he was taking her along as well. But she basically spills the beans. He's on board. He's here, and she doesn't really want anything to do with this, but she's been a reluctant visitor or a reluctant pawn in Dracula's game for years. Dracula apparently is coming to London because he's run out of people to eat back home, and there's a plethora of people in England. So there you go. That's his plan. He picks off one by one. Eventually, they're figuring out they got to get rid of this guy. So they come up with a plan of attack. Well, let's just sink the boat. We'll head off on a lifeboat once we're relatively close to England. Sink the damn thing, and maybe he'll just be lost at sea, and that's the end of Dracula. He won't be able to go through London. We do know in this movie, taking a little bit from True Blood, the TV show, the minute the sun starts up, if you're a vampire and you're outside, you basically go up in flames almost immediately. And we see that with a couple of victims that he bites, that they don't know that they're vampires yet, and they end up frying. True Blood wasn't the first thing that did that, by the way, but it showed it prevalently in that movie, in that TV show, I should say. So we're finally down to the last night. We only have a couple survivors left, and there's a big battle between him, Dracula, and at the very end, there's just two survivors, Clemens and the woman who was been bitten in Transylvania. They managed to drop this gigantic beam. It kind of pins Dracula, and then they jump off the boat. Now, the boat's already been set to sink. However, it's a big stormy night, and the boat does manage to drift into the harbor, where it crashes into the rocks and land. So it does make land. The sun starts to come up. and the woman who was on the little raft went up in flames because she was turned, I guess, or partially turned. Clemens managed to make it to shore, and he knows that Dracula is in London. There's big newspapers around, ghost ship, lands, nobody's on board, nobody's alive, that sort of thing. And there's kind of a narration at the end where he actually looks like he sees Dracula in a bar at one point, and Dracula comes by near the end and kind of rubs his finger on his neck. And then it ends with him vowing to, he says, I know where Dracula lives, I'm going to take him out, that sort of thing. And that's how our movie ends. I think they were kind of setting up for a sequel there, or maybe a series of movies. I don't know, but this movie did not do great at the box office. And it's a shame because it actually is pretty well done. I think I read that it cost like $43 million to make and only made $25 million or something like that. So I think it was a relatively decent budget, and but it just didn't do great. And I don't know why. It wasn't a bad film. No nudity in this movie, but there is some gore and some decent scares, and I liked it. I really did. It's just too bad that audiences didn't click with it. So there you go. But anyway, that is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I got this on eBay. One of the sellers there, I think I got it for about $11, $10 or something like that. I actually got it cheaper than that because they had a, buy two, get the third at 20% off or something like that. So threw this one in there, Last Voyage of the Demeter. Pretty decent film. Check it out. Leave some comments. I'll leave a link to Amazon for the Blu-ray. And again, you should definitely check this out. It's fun. Watch it. Last Voyage of the Demeter. Bye. Leave some comments.